All right, so Napheesa Collier has decided to cancel her upcoming meeting with Cathy Engelbert, where they were planned to, talk more about the collective bargaining agreement and try to move closer to bringing both sides together before the end of the month deadline. And apparently now that meeting is not happening. Cathy Engelbert responded in her own press conference where she denied saying some of the things that Napheesa Collier alleged that she said. And now, with news of this cancellation of the meeting, this looks like it is throwing a huge jagged edge in trying to get a deal done. And this is very disheartening. At this point, when I heard about the cancellation, this was the first time that I felt like, oh, there's absolutely going to be a lockout where I'm not even thinking twice about it. So let's pull the news story up right here. And we're going to take a look at it. So basically, Minnesota Lynx forward Napheesa Collier has canceled her meeting with the WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert next week, sources told ESPN on Saturday. She previously texted Engelbert that she was open to meeting with her next week to discuss the criticism of Engelbert in the league at her news conference Tuesday. But Engelbert's assertion at a Friday news conference of a private conversation between Collier and Engelbert was filled with inaccuracies, and it has pretty much pushed the relationship beyond repair, as one source put it. What could have been so bad that, I don't know. It wasn't like Cathy fired on Collier in the same way. She did essentially call her a liar, though, which I could understand that, making you angry. But it's kind of bigger than you at this point, even though, Collier here has like decided to put 2 feet out there, essentially, speaking for herself. She wasn't talking for the rest of the players. She wasn't talking for Caitlin Clark. And it was nice that they supported her, but this seemed to be a Napheesa Collier only, type thing here. Everything, with Cathy, where she was saying I did not make those comments. There's a lot of inaccuracy through social media and all of this reporting. That was some, kind of funny double speak that Cathy Engelbert was doing, because she was acting like we all didn't watch Napheesa Collier ourselves. It wasn't necessarily reporting that did anything. It wasn't reporting at all. It was Napheesa Collier words directly out of her mouth. That's what we're doing, and she blamed a lot of that on reporting and tried to deflect. So I think Cathy did I don't know if I want to say a good job, but I basically was able to like see what she was saying and then be like, oh, okay. So she's been coached and prepped all week to try to clean this up PR wise. There was the report from the Sports Business Journal that said that she, is on the outs, and that's going to be something she's going to have to try to come back from. And I don't know if that's going to happen for her or not, because the players clearly don't want her in the saddle. But I think it is important to consider that Cathy is almost a cog in the machine as much as, just an everyday player on the roster is, or everyday player in the league. If Cathy Engelbert is gone, there's still going to be somebody that wants to execute the owner's vision. And I think the problem with Cathy is she's not seen as a uniter. Like, she's not seen as somebody that is bridging the gap between players and ownership. And if you have that bad relationship with the players to where Napheesa Collier is just randomly bringing out these things, and I have trouble thinking that Collier just would randomly cite specific examples such as, hey, Caitlin Clark, she doesn't make anything if not for the WNBA, or people need to be on their hands and knees thanking, their lucky stars for the TV deal. Those sound like very cited and specific examples. And coming out of nowhere, it doesn't really add up for me there. And I've heard a lot of people say, Napheesa Collier has incentive to, make the WNBA go down and go into a lockout. I mean, not really. The, Unrivaled and the WNBA don't play at the same time. So, like, they're going to do what they do in the offseason either way. That just kind of buffers them so they don't have to break coming up. So like they creating Unrivaled in itself was already the thing that benefited them. blame it on the league for agreeing to, have their players with this non-exclusivity. And if they paid more for that exclusivity, something like Unrivaled wouldn't exist. So that sounds like the owners need to find a way to be like, hey, we got to pay you. So either you're not going to play overseas, you're not going to play in Unrivaled. So I think the players, have done a good job in that sense to, making sure that they do have a way to, still make money in the event of a lockout, because either the lockout, if there's no lockout and they get all the money that they're looking for, like as far as the split and the revenue, and that's where the holdup is. Cathy continuously in that meeting talked about the salary raise. They want to give them raises rather than points on the package. And you want those points on the package because no matter what the money turns into, you always get that certain percentage. With just the flat raise, you're stuck at that flat raise. That doesn't make sense. So, if you're the players, I think you fight for that percentage. And with Unrivaled's existence, it doesn't hurt to not have another option. But as I said, whether they get something done or not, Unrivaled's going to, either exist or they get something done and they get paid to where there's an exclusivity clause, which they will shut down on Unrivaled in that case. But at that point, there won't be a reason for Unrivaled. So I think it was just a smart move for them to start this a year ahead of time, so the league already has proof of concept and has seen the value of it raised substantially. Now, I think that the meeting being canceled between them stinks, and I think Napheesa needs to find a way to bridge that gap and go in there with the reason, like, hey, did you say this? And go in there like, hey, you said this back then. And then either Cathy say, no, I didn't. And then she drops either something on the table and be like, yo, no, you said this. We talked about this. She's coming with dates, times, and specific wording and all that stuff. Like, they're going to have to work through that together, because at this point, it's she said. So I wasn't there. But, man, I'm prone to trust the workers rather than the leadership. That's just how I'm wired. You may not feel the same way. That's okay. But I think that they need to, like, where are the rest of the player reps and the rest of the officers in the CBA negotiations at this point? Where's the rest of the Players Association? Where's Nneka Ogwumike? Where is Breanna Stewart? Everyone else has been a little bit too quiet, and it's just been Napheesa Collier has been the face of this thing. And I think for the players, they need to have all their best speakers kind of, all aligned in one step. And I think what's going on here is the more this turns into a Collier versus Cathy thing, I think the overall goal could get lost, which is ultimately working towards a solution that works for everybody. It's not about Napheesa Collier strictly versus Cathy in a battle of words. Like, no, that's not what it is. It's a distraction, honestly. What needs to be settled is figuring out that percentage of revenue. And I think once you get that hammered out, you should be making progress towards a deal. So, and if a deal doesn't happen, Unrivaled will be there for all the players that want to play in Unrivaled. There are players that make money off the court. They don't need to play overseas or don't show an interest in playing in the offseason at all, whether it's Unrivaled or China or Turkey or where's some other places they play? Australia. Lots of places play women's basketball. Russia. But this is going to be the fight. The defining fight, I think, in the history of this league. And, I don't think it's going to go down easily and cleanly. And every league has kind of been through this at a certain point. You can remember in the 90s, they lost a World Series, going forward. So this is the one where, in 1999, the NBA canceled and they missed their All-Star game. And they only played 50 games in the season. That was really when the money started exploding. And right now the WNBA is at the point to where it's not like their other CBAs, because like they are on the path to explosion right now. And there's a lot of kind of outlandish or outside theories I think I kind of have that I'm still like waiting to kind of flesh out. And with these NBA ownerships so tied into this league, and mind you, the investors that they have to pay back, and a lot of these people were keeping this, the WNBA stuff running because it would look good for them, that they fund a women's sports league and do all this. But then what happened was, like, someone like Caitlin Clark just walked in and blew it all up to where they actually have to care about it now because it is a money-making enterprise now. It doesn't really matter what happened for the previous, 28 seasons or 27 seasons. Things have changed since 2024 going forward, and that's like what is going to be going on, because all the owners that are in place were not all the same owners in 1999 and 2004. So like people are like, yeah, you got to pay back all that money from all those years. To who? Like, those people are gone. Like they cashed out already. So like they got to figure that out. And I hope Napheesa and Cathy are able to. Look, they probably are not going to like each other, but they need to come to a point to where they can talk to each other at this point. So I hope to keep the league like going, and also explode the money the correct way, that they figure this out. So until further notice, we'll keep talking about the CBA here, and let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Anyway, my name is Rich. It's One Lifetime. I'm up out of here. Peace.